Oh, so stream friends, is that better now?
Yeah, they're saying better. They're all
Oh,
saying better.
marvelous. That's lovely. Thank you,
Fucking
Ian.
Harry, is
Thank
everything
you,
all right?
Ian.
Were you up?
Is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's
Right.
fine. Thank you, I think. Right, so we'll pretend none of that happened. Hello!
Hi.
And welcome to the stream. I'm sure you all know Mr. Average Harry.
Yeah.
But here he is, and he will introduce himself and go on, tell us a little bit about yourself, Harry.
My name is Harry. I'm from South London, but right now I'm staying in Brighton because Jack trusted me not to crash his place while he's on tour, not to just completely destroy it. He's got a lot of faith in me.
I did see
Uh,
that you tweeted saying that you'd weed in his bed or something.
uh, Similar. It was similar. It was actually a lot worse. I
Oh,
tweeted.
was it? Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Um, and you probably know me from Sarah's son's videos and other stuff. I do my own stuff sometimes. I'm silly on the internet, and it's my job now, which is no,
Woo! That's well exciting. It's your job now. So,
I know, right?
what have you been doing? Because you were working in a shop, weren't you? And then
I was working at Argos, which was horrible,
yeah,
and now I've done my merch drop. I've got all sorts of stuff happening.
I know, and I've ordered a hat.
You ordered a hat?
Yeah,
Oh, stop it, Sarah.
yeah, average Harry hat.
You
Uh,
shouldn't have.
and so, what are you going to be doing with your full time, internet
Make
person?
loads of money, hopefully.
Nice.
Um, I've got a bunch. Well, I have a bunch of stuff planned when everyone else comes back from tour, but right now they're all too busy on the road to film stuff.
I
It's
know.
it's 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 quite an annoying time for me to quit my job because half of my mates are fucked off to America for 2 months, and the other half is streaming for 3 months. So I'm stuck in a sticky situation, but I think it's going quite well.
And what have you been doing? You've been streaming this week.
Yeah, I have.
Hang on, hang on. What was that picture I saw you in? You were in some sort of outfit yesterday, which I didn't know how to feel about it. I'll be honest.
Do
I
you
did.
not like it? It was my Hatsune Miku
I don't know.
cosplay.
I don't know what that. I don't know what that means, and I didn't know what I was looking at. And it was one of those. It felt inappropriate for me to look at, so I was turned away.
No, that was most people's reaction. She's like it's called a Vocaloid. I'm not sure what it is either, but it was like a sub goal where I'm like, oh, I'll do a Hatsune Miku cosplay, and I didn't think I'd hit it, and then I did, and I was like, fuck, I have to do this now.
And you were streaming in that yesterday.
Yeah, 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 right here. I need to clear up. I have one of her arm pieces here on the floor.
Nice, nice. And
I know.
and you've been in Tubbo's streams as well, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. I was there yesterday. I'm probably gonna get bored and show up again tonight, to be fair.
What's his deal? He's streaming for like ever.
It's the maximum I think is 90 days is the longest it can go.
Oh, Tubster, and he's all right, is he?
Oh, if you saw his revenue page, you'd also be
No,
all right.
no, no. I was meaning
No,
him. I wasn't on about his revenue. I was on about if Tubster's all right,
he's
if he's
he's
happy and he's
he's
looking after himself.
he's doing great. He's eating well. He's getting his exercise, and his sleep hasn't gone to shit.
Oh well, that's
So
good news. That's good news. Well, yeah, it's been a funny old couple of days on the internet.
it's been lovely. It's been lovely,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
it's been absolutely gorgeous. Couldn't be happier. Um, yeah, and I haven't yet changed my bio to lazy kept wife, terrible mother.
Lazy kept wife is
Yeah,
insane.
it's
That's
brilliant, isn't
like
it?
that's like proper 1950s.
Yeah, it is kept wife. Woo!
It
I feel a little
does.
bit fancy actually being a kept wife, or even being perceived as a kept wife. I feel a bit fancy pants. Um, yes, people have been quite cross with me. There's been so many gorgeous people who've been lovely, lovely, lovely to me, and I've felt so much love and so much support. But there's been quite a vocal minority who've not
An incredibly
who've not
vocal.
been keen. Yeah. and said all sorts. And I tell you, this stemmed from on Sunday, I'd had a bit of a shit day. This is before we go into all about you. It's all about me now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, you take the floor.
I'd had a bit of a shit day on Sunday. I was really tired. I've talked before about my dad having Alzheimer's and it being really, really, really difficult. And, you know, seeing someone that you love just kind of disappear slowly. And I'd seen my dad. I was feeling really sad. And I thought, oh, you know, distract myself, distract myself. So I came home and I went on. I thought, oh, I know I've got hundreds of Twitter message DMs that I haven't responded to. So I whipped through them all, responded to the ones I could, got rid of a load. And then I saw that there was another button that said one that's like, here are all
It's
the
like
ones with
filtered,
yeah,
like
all the ones
potentially
with yeah,
harmful.
all the ones with offensive content. Clicked on there were bloody hundreds of them. And there were as I said, there were some self-portraits. There were some a couple of death threats, kidnap threat, which is just, it used to be so traumatic and now it's just shut up.
Yeah, yeah. It used to be like, oh my god, and now it's like once
Yeah.
you've had one, you've had them all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's less fun when they put your home address on, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
That
less.
adds another level to it.
Yeah, and it adds a load of admin as well because then I've got to speak to her. We've got a liaison person in the police who helps us with all of this, and you know our other security and that. So they all have to know, and I have to send screenshots and I have to detail blah blah. It's a load of
It's a
frigging
pain in the
admin.
ass.
It is. And so as I was doing all that, got rid of, did all of that, and then I was just left with this one unanswered one, and it was from that person, and I don't even know if I can mention the name, but I'm not going to, just in case.
Just a certain person.
Yeah. And I completely forgot all about it, but because I was trying to distract myself with stuff, I just tweeted going, "Oh yeah, I've just seen this message from this lad ages ago who had the ump with our Tom, and then sent me a massive essay.
It was massive.
You saw it at the time, didn't you?
I remember when it got sent. It was about 5 pages.
I sent it to Tom at the time, and you were you were there, weren't you? Because I used all the
around
swear
Tom's
words
when he
it
went,
happened.
look what my mum texted me, and I was like, oh my god.
I think that was the first time I talked to you, wasn't it? And it was
all
the swear
FaceTimed
words.
You.
Yeah, it was all the swear words in the world I used. Because I was just really, really cross about it, the nerve of it. And listen, he apologized to me yesterday, which I very much appreciated. And he had, he messed up. He shouldn't have messaged somebody's mum to tell them all the reasons why they were terrible. My favourite thing was if I'd go, oh, do you know what? As soon as you've put it like that, I agree, he is an arsehole.
As if you were going to change your mind.
Yeah. But, fair play to him. He has apologised and I've accepted and, I've totally recognised that we all mess up. I've messed up hundreds of times. I'm a recovering alcoholic. The number of times I've messed up, especially when I was drinking.
Yeah.
We all do. So, we can forgive each other and all that kind of thing. But by that point, it was too late because I'd already tweeted, and it was just a little bit of woo gossip to distract myself. Next thing, I'm trending.
Yeah.
And there's like everything's going.
The tweet got big, didn't it?
Absolutely bonkers. And it's like it wasn't a big deal at all. And even the idea of it that somebody messaged me because they were grumpy with my son. That's not a big deal. It's really not. It's funny and it was irritating and it's not a big deal. But the things that have come out of it, I've never experienced shit like this on Twitter. I've been on Twitter since it started. And, before any of Tom's stuff, I had quite a big community of teachers that I ran. And that was part of my job, which obviously when Tom's fans found me, I had a whole different demographic and I couldn't do my teacher stuff anymore. But I've never experienced the misogyny like I have these past couple of days. It's been like mind-blowing. The people very, very angry because I dare be on the internet because I'm 50. How dare you? How dare you?
It's absurd.
Yeah, massively ageist stuff. And I'm not pretending I'm 27. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm an old bird. And
Whoa.
Fine.
Sarah, you don't look a day over 20.
Thank you, Harry.
Sarah,
Thank
Sarah,
you.
if I was still working my old job and you came in to buy a Red Bull, I would ID you.
Would you?
I
You
would.
see, you see, and he means every word of that.
I do.
And yeah, the misogyny, the people were very interested in my fertility and why I only have one child. They were very interested in whether I can still have children now, whether I'm too old for children. It's like
It's absurd.
it's absolutely bizarre, and it's like, does that mean that if a woman is not of childbearing age, then she doesn't count? She's somehow less. Is that what they were
It's
trying to
insane.
say? Absolutely insane. And I just think some people need to absolutely have a think about their own situations, and if their defense of a famous person that has no idea that they exist is worth all that hate and all that effort put into being awful to a total stranger, then I think they need to have a rethink of their own priorities and their own mental health, frankly. You know,
100%.
because it's just, it can't be healthy for them. They can't be in a healthy place. And it was quite, I mean, the fertility stuff was quite upsetting, but then I thought, oh, fuck it, it's just noise. It's just noise from
It's just noise.
strangers, you know. But it was quite surprising how far it went from this one silly
Tweet.
tweet.
And it exploded.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I'm not just going to take it, you know. And I know the
Yeah.
sensible thing would be to just shut my computer and walk away. No, you know, if you come for
You
me,
don't. Sarah Simons doesn't stand for bullshit.
no, and it's bullying. And I'm not fucking having it. I'm too old for bullying. You know, you can try if you want, but it ain't going to happen. And my whole mindset was, I'm not fucking having this. If you come for me, I'm replying to you, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm going to question you and question your motives and um, question what you expect to get out of this interaction. What is it that you want?
Because half of the time it's just they just want a fucking reaction out of it.
Yeah, but I think the reaction they want is for me to be upset,
Yeah.
you know, and I wasn't upset. I was like,
It's
this is,
like, you're weird.
yeah,
You're
this is
weird.
strange. I think you need to, you know, just kind of, you need to calm the fuck down first of all, and second, you know, you maybe need to look after yourself a bit better.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm having to focus so hard. I can you change your mic to the correct one on Google Meet because I can barely hear you. I'm like
Right, hang on.
properly. It was okay until it started raining outside and it's really loud. And I'm like, I don't know if you can see on my face. I'm like, yeah,
What's she
yeah.
saying? What's she saying? Can I ask on the? Is it? Does it sound all right on the thing?
On the stream, when you changed it, on the stream, it
Yeah.
sounded perfectly. It's only on Google Meet.
If I talk a bit louder, is that better for you?
Yeah.
Because I'm scared that if I change it now,
It'll
it'll
fuck
all go.
everything up. If
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
talk a bit, hold on, I'm gonna shut the blind. It might dampen some noise. But if you just talk louder,
yeah. It's yeah. I mean, that's not really a problem. Me talking loud, is it? So, Harry, we've done all the me things. Now it's time for you, and that's what we're here for. And today we're talking
yes,
about confidence. We're talking about being sociable,
yeah,
how to navigate social situations,
yeah,
being your, I call it your authentic self. So being yourself, and when somebody says, "Oh, just be yourself," you go, "Well, which one?" You know,
exactly,
there's at least 25 of me, you know, and that's
yeah.
just on a slow day. Um, so the reason why I asked you to talk about this is that and I'm absolutely delighted that you're joining me. Is because you've always struck me as somebody who's happy in the self, who's content with who they are, and is quite confident about that. Not in an arrogant way, just in a this is me, and you know this is who I am, and
Yeah.
also you seem to be excellent in social situations.
Thank you. Oh,
Is
I'm
that how you
thank you.
see yourself? Do you see yourself as a confident person?
Um, mm, it's a weird thing because everyone sees me as that, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's Harry." To the point where it's like if I'm like out with people and they're like, and they want, we need to approach someone to ask for something. They go, "Oh, how are you doing? How are you like?"
Yeah.
If we're at a restaurant and they fuck up the order, they go, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I'm like, I think I was not always like that. It was really weird. It was when lockdown hit. So lockdown hit me. I was in year 10 and I came out of it at the end of year 11. So I basically jumped straight from year 10 to sixth form, like college, right? And I kind of had a moment. I came out of it a completely different person, which is weird because I was locked in my room all day, not having interactions with anyone. And I came out of it like like a social person. I could go and publicly speak and everything, and I could be myself. And I think it honestly, I think it was streaming which did it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I was locked in my room for about a year and a half, and I would stream every single day for about 4 hours. But this was like I had about 20 viewers. Like this was just a hobby, but I
Yeah.
think I got so used to it, to hearing my own voice. My big thing is my voice. It's my one biggest insecurity because of my I have a lisp, obviously. But after you know me for a while, you can barely even hear it. But I
Mm.
was really, really heavily bullied for it growing
Well,
up.
yeah.
Properly, it was really, really bad, especially when I had my braces and retainers in. It was like it was so bad, my lisp, and it's gotten better in recent years. But I was
Oh, I think
terrified.
it's very endearing. It's part of the whole "Isn't Harry lovely" package.
Yeah, no, 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 it is. But the I went to an all boys sports college, and they don't really go for the
Yeah,
endearing
they don't
type
go for
there.
endearing.
No, so I was like very, very I was bullied heavily all the way since like primary school. Um
Really?
like, and even like I still get it when like you're in like a bar or something, you can go to the smoking area, and there's always that one prick who's so drunk. They go, "What's your name?" And I go, "Harry." They go, "Oh, Shari." And I'm like, "Fuck off, mate."
Yeah.
Like I've heard it a million times. But I was, because of that, I was so insecure of my voice. I was bullied for two things. It was my voice and my weight. I've spoken about my kind of weight loss a lot online. I used to be a lot heavier. I've lost about 30 kilos. Um, and I was always like the fat funny guy in the group. And
Yeah.
whenever I was the punching bag, basically. So, and like it was funny because it was my friends, but eventually when you hear it every day, it really knocks your confidence,
Yeah.
like severely. So I was just like, I would keep to myself in school. I ended up kind of before COVID and everything, I would literally just sit with my one other mate in the back of the playground and like eat my food, and we'd just go on our phones and everything. um
God, isn't that interesting? I can't imagine you. You see, to me, you're, the life and soul in every single room, and
yeah,
all
I
of
know,
that,
and
the light and that kind of thing. And to
it's
think of you like
insane
that
looking
is,
back and seeing myself like that. And then kind of when lockdown hit, I realized this is going to sound so stupid. I don't have to be the person I am in real life on the internet. I don't have to be that quiet kid who is scared to go up to people and I'm the punching bag of the group. I can be the funny one. I can be that. And I think after putting on that like quote unquote act for about a year and a half over lockdown, when I finally went back to school, I was just used to it by then, and I just
yeah,
kind of never slipped out of it because I preferred it a lot more. Like as fun as it is, it really takes a toll on you, being the punching bag of the group. And I went, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just didn't. So when I went back
and
to
did
school,
did you say that to them? Did you say, "I don't want to do this anymore"?
we had gotten into arguments over lockdown where like it was really weird. I didn't keep in much contact with my school friends. I had my online friends, and it was that, and it'd be like every other month we'd meet up and they'd try it, and I go, this isn't fun anymore. This isn't nice, and it would just get
Yeah.
awkward. Um, and then when I went back to school, I got a completely different friend group who are my best friends to this day. I fucking love them, and they've treated me more as a person.
Yeah. That's really interesting that you kind of developed an identity because of your streaming and because it's kind of built by you, in it. There's no when you're streaming, there's no kind of other social influence to tell you who you are. You can be whoever you want.
Yeah, literally. It is that. Which is why I was like, I was always, it's only been like the past year and a half I've warmed up to posting on Instagram more, because my Instagram, I've had that account since I was like 12. Like that was originally like my personal one. And I'm like, I was so scared all my old school friends would see what I'm like now and like make fun of me for some reason now that I'm like doing better and everything. And it was just it was weird. I don't know why. And then I'm like, no, fuck you guys. I'm doing good for myself. I'm happier. I'm gonna post what I want.
That's really interesting. I had a friend, we're still friends now, who I was the punching bag for. And he was very, very, very funny. And that's
Yeah.
kind of why I let it go. And I was awful with him as well, but he knew what he said to me was a bit out of line. But he was
Yeah.
very, very funny. And we kind of lost touch for a little bit. And then we started chatting again a few years ago, and he's apologized to me and said, he was really, he felt guilt about it for years and years and years. And I was like, well, I was an arsehole as well, so let's all move on. But I was so interested that he recognized at the time that he
Well, I
wasn't being
think
right.
I think they do recognize. I got a drunk voice note about 4 months ago from one of my old friends who was clearly in like a club smoking area, going, "Oh, I'm really sorry for always calling you fat," and I'm like, "It's all right. It was years ago. Don't worry." But I'm like, when you make those jokes, everyone knows it's out of line.
Mm,
But when you have everyone laughing and you're in a fucking school playground and everyone's cheering you on and it's the norm, it's like no one cares about it. Because even I, like when I'm with Tom and the rest of the stream men, I do make a joke out of line sometimes, and then I always, when we go into the other room, I go, I didn't piss you off, did it, Tom? And he goes, no, mate, it was funny. And I'm like that's kind of like everyone always knows when a joke is out of line. They
yeah.
just pretend that they don't.
Yeah, I know, but in your little gang, they are funny. The dynamic of who's awful to who, and then they all know that if they relentless. I mean, I don't mean on stream. I mean like just when you're hanging about, that there's Tom. I'll have he's just relentlessly having a go at Tubbo, and Tubbo will have a go at I don't even know, and then
The best one is
Freddie
Freddy.
and
The best one to wind up is Freddy, because Freddy does not stop.
no,
Freddy does not
I know,
stop.
I know, I know.
Freddy's my favorite.
But then they all, my favourite thing is that they all know that if they do it with Tom, he'll take it all to heart and go and be really upset.
He will.
And
He
he
will.
knows he will. He knows he will as well, doesn't he?
You say something to him, and he goes, "Don't say that. We're gonna have a falling out." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry." I'm like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like,
Oh, then he'll ask you about it afterwards. When you said this, did you actually mean it, or were you trying to be funny, or what?
he always does that, and I'm like, "Oh, bless him." I love Tom. I love Tom so much.
But it is funny how he properly goes hard, awful on his best mates, but he
Yeah,
properly can't take it, can he?
I know. It's absurd. Some of the things he says to me, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. I'm so glad. You should be glad I'm not your friend, or I'd be crying right now.
Yeah, he's awful.
He is.
So, your kind of change in how you perceived yourself was because of this persona that you created online, that you thought
Yeah.
actually that might be me.
I think it was I've so back in like 2020, I was in another group with my friends and we did like a little podcast and we did these Twitch shows, and they'd always turn around to me my friend Harris, and he'd always go, Harry, you're going to be really big one day. You're so funny. You're so funny. Harry, you're so funny. And I'm like, oh, maybe I am. Maybe I am. Because apart from that, the only people who'd call me funny were like the teachers. And I'm like, that's like, I'm flattered, but like, I'm sure you say that to everyone. Um, and I'm like, and then it was only when I was just surrounded myself with people who actually like, Harry, you are like, you have potential to be confident. You just need to like believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like Tom's done it the most for me recently. Um Tom sent me like a very nice DM the other day at like 7 in the morning and was like, Harry, you've like looking back at our videos like 6 months ago to now, your comedy's improved so much. I'm like, oh, stop it. Like it's just yeah, I don't know.
I
Hold
think
on, let me
he
fix.
I think he enjoys that. Are you all right, babes?
Yeah, I accidentally knocked my camera and it moved.
Um, I think he enjoys that before you were around, he was always the one who would say the most awful thing privately in his group. And now that you take that and take it about another 20 steps further, and I think he likes not being you know,
The
the loosest cannon.
Yeah, no. I think he's actually turned around to me and said that once, where he like said a comment and then I like continued it on, and he was like, Harry, I like how my final comment was meant to be the big crazy one, and then you took it another mile.
Yeah, and that I mean that's part of it, isn't it? That we always, when we talk about it, one of the big things is that you're a bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And it's it's the same as Tom, that the comedy generally seems to come first above other things. What did you want to be when you were little?
I I have a picture of me on my year 5 school trip where they made us all line up and write on a whiteboard what we want to be when we grow up. And I got a picture of everyone doing it. Everyone's like doctor, footballer, and I was there with a sign which said YouTuber. Like it's
Well,
like
yeah,
ever like I have videos I still have. I filmed on my iPad when I was 10. And it's like it's such a crazy thing. Like, which when I quit my job, I cried because I'm like, this has been my dream since I
yeah.
was like, I can't even remember when. And it feels like it's finally like working out. And I'm like, this is insane.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I found just the other day, I found Tom's one of that when he was about 5 or 6, and he'd written film director.
Oh,
I know.
bless him. I think he will. I think Tom will do like do you know the twins? They
Yeah,
I think Tom has like another fucking 5-10 years doing cool shit on YouTube, and then I think he's going straight to Hollywood because I think I turn around to Tom, and he is the one person where I'm like, if he puts enough time into anything, he will become a master at it. He is like crazy. I don't think there's a single person I know that works harder than Tom. And I've said to him multiple times. Like, if Tom turned around to me and said, Harry, I've started jujitsu classes, I'm like, in 2 years, you're going to be able to beat the fuck out of everyone in Brighton. Like, he's absurd at
he
how good he
works
is.
very very hard, and he gets very dedicated in things. Um,
Yeah.
but that was what you wanted to do. You wanted to be a YouTuber.
Yeah. Ever since day one.
And what was it that you thought that's what you want to do? I mean, was it the
Um,
creativity? Was it the being your own boss? Was it kind of the word on YouTube? There aren't, and on streaming there aren't the kind of um not boundaries. That there's not the limitations that if you went through it in a different to filmmaking in a different route.
I think it was the well, I grew up a lot on YouTube, and it was purely the comedy aspect of it. I'm like, it's like being a stand-up comedian. My two were either I want to be a YouTuber or a stand-up comedian. But I'm like, I can't. I'll give stand-up a go. Tom's been trying to get me to do it, but it's like YouTube is just. I think I just liked making people laugh. I guess.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was it. I just liked being funny.
Why? Why do you like making people laugh? How does it make you feel when you make people laugh?
Oh, it's AI. It's the best. When it's like it's so yeah. It's just a great feeling, and I think I've always done it. My dad is the funniest person I know. My
Yeah.
dad, I owe all of my humor to my dad, like every last bit to that. And I think just when he would make, I remember when it was a stupid fucking joke. I can't remember what the joke was. I was about 8 and he told me, and I was laughing so hard. I was actually on the floor, couldn't breathe. And I was like, fucking hell, I want to do that. I want
Yeah.
to do that. And I think ever since I've just, been stuck to it, I guess.
So tell me, there was this period during lockdown where you kind of reinvented yourself, and that's a reinvent. Lots of people kind of reinvent themselves when they leave school and go to university or go to the job or whatever, something like that. And I've talked about this before, that that whole dynamic of popularity and who you are in this hierarchy doesn't exist once you finish school. It just doesn't,
Yeah.
because that's just a load of random people stuck together who have to fight out who the top dog is. And In other situations, those levels of hierarchy are the named, whether it's within a job or that sort of thing. So that element of it being a popularity contest isn't really there anymore. But that's interesting that yours was your transition to being, who you feel you are and who you present as kind of came together in a time when you were isolated.
Yeah. Which is it, I still think it's absurd. I was in my room, didn't see anyone for about a year and a half, and I came out a sociable person who could talk to anyone.
That is really interesting, isn't it? And how did that new sort of, not persona, that new, the more authentic perhaps persona, how was that when you were out and about with people, like in a social situation?
It was nice, I guess. I don't know. It was at first it was weird because most of the time when people would speak to me or like we were out doing stuff, it was just like a fat joke or like a stupid joke or a throwaway comment. Because people, before I actually got a bit of success, this is the with all the online stuff,
Yeah.
it's the biggest loser cringe shit ever until you get a bit good at it and everyone goes, oh, it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it was like I came back to school and everyone was like, oh, it's actually working for him. And it was weird, I guess.
And then since you've um been in this, were you always really sociable, kind of out and about and meeting people, and before you weren't?
Oh my god. My other friend group did not go out. It was probably once every 3 months we would go to the cinema or something. I think I was friends with them from year 7 to year 10, 3 years. I think we only met up outside of school 5 times.
Mm,
I would go home, have a 2 hour nap, lay in bed or stream. Like
yeah.
I had no hobbies. I I've never really enjoyed video games that much because I'm not very good at them. So it was like when Fortnite came out, I was big on Fortnite. Like we played Fortnite together sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just I would not see them out of school. It was really only when I became good friends with Max and everyone, and we all kind of live in different areas, and like in the summer we'd always go to London and meet, and it was like me and Freddie would always he'd come down and we'd hang out. It was like I did not go out much at all.
So is that how you was it? Is that Max GG?
Yeah.
I didn't realise, you see, how good friends he was with Freddie and with you. And he said something a bit cheeky about Freddie, and I nearly had him online. I was like, "What? What did you say? Don't be talking about my Freddie like that." And I was like, "Oh, Christ."
No,
No, no, no, I
we're
didn't
all in.
realise you were all such. And he was
Yeah,
like, "No, I'm joking. I'm joking."
first time I ever met Max was the first time I ever met Freddie. It was July 3rd, 2021. It was a big meetup. It was me, Max, Freddie, Scott, Bill. I knew Bill
Oh,
before all of that. Before he kind of all got big.
you knew Billzo.
I knew Bill when I like averaged more viewers than him. We were the same size.
Yeah.
We would stream together and we both had about 20 viewers. Yeah.
Oh, I love Bill.
I love Bill. I love him so much.
Um, though he is the only one of Tom's friends who's told me to fuck off.
Has he?
Yeah. To be
Well,
fair.
no. Now you've got two friends that have told you to fuck off. Fuck off, Sarah. Now I'm the
Oh,
second.
thanks, Harry. Oh,
It's
you're
an honor.
sweet. I think because he came during was it 2021? He came up here, came up to Nottingham quite a bit, and him and Tom. There was a little. He was generally hungover, was, and we got quite good pals. And you know when you're talking with somebody, and you know I swear a bit, and he
And you
kind
go,
of
oh, fuck
yeah, he
off.
kind of forgot who he was talking to, and he went, "Oh, fuck off, Sarah." And Tom was like, "What? Don't tell me, Mum, to fuck off." And I thought it was brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
funny.
do like him a lot. He's a lovely lad. So you met them through streaming?
Yeah. So, how did I meet Max? I met Max. Okay, this is how I met Max. And this is also why I used to have. There were two reasons why I used to have a vendetta against Tom.
Did you?
Yeah. So
Oh, this is
the
brilliant.
first one, in 2021 January. In 2020 I had a clip of me blow up, right? And it got really big in South America. And I used to have like 100,000 Twitch followers because of it, right? And it was this clip of me. And then I went to apply for Twitch partner and they permanently banned my account because I made my account 1 week before I turned 13. And they were like, you can't do that. So it was a big thing where I got permanently banned for that. And the same thing happened to Max, and we bonded after that. But you know who else made their account before they turned 13, Sarah?
Was it Tom Simons?
Yeah. And they just reached out to him and was like, yeah, you just need to delete all your stuff and we won't ban you. And I'm like, okay.
Oh,
So
I remember him having some sort of drama about he was going to get back, and he was waiting and waiting for whether or not. I remember that, but I didn't really understand what he was on about. But I knew he was really stressed about it because he was quite young, wasn't he?
yeah. It was
How
many
old was you?
years ago.
Yeah, but I remember that being a big thing.
But it was like as he was properly like blowing up, and the big thing was like, are they going to ban him? Are they going to ban him? And then I got reached out to by a friend of his, and he goes, "Oh, they just told him to delete all of his stuff." And like, it makes sense because
Yeah,
I think how much they would have been sued if they caught if the copper laws caught Twitch
yeah,
doing that was 50K. And I'm like, Tom was bringing in way more than 50K for the platform at the time. Like, it wouldn't have made sense to ban him.
yeah. I can see how that'd be really irritating though, because
It was
it's not
irritating. No, do you
fair,
want to
is
know
it?
the
It's
do you
not
want to know the
fair.
even more irritating reason why I used to have vendetta against Tom?
Go on.
I used to I want to hopefully do it again this year. I used to run a project called Average Christmas. Um
I'm
where
already sold. Average Christmas.
there is a cancer hospital near me called the Royal Marsden,
Yeah.
and the children's ward has, I think, 48 beds, and out of my own pocket I'd go and buy 48 sets of Lego and donate it,
Oh,
right?
wow, that's a lovely thing.
And it was like my big thing I would do, and I'd then urge people to post them doing something good with hashtag Average Christmas, right?
Yeah.
It's the big day. It's time to post it. I hope it's going to go well. I post it, and then Tom Simons gets his braces off. And the top 5 trending things on Twitter were Tommy in it braces, braces. They were all about him getting his braces off. I was like, fuck.
Sorry.
No, looking back, it was like hilarious. But at the time, I was
Yeah.
like, I
No.
have put all my money in my bank account into this. This is the biggest project I've ever done. And
Oh,
a 16-year-old kid got his braces off.
that was mental though. That time, any little thing that happened, it was trending
Oh,
all
it was
over.
like he would say a syllable and go trending. Like it's
Yeah,
absurd.
I cut his hair in the kitchen, and that was like #1 worldwide. I mean, it just because his hair was like an inch shorter. I think it was during lockdown. It must have been because I was in the kitchen with. Um,
Yeah. But it was like it was crazy. Like someone could bump into him on his way to college, tweet a picture with him, and get 20K likes.
yeah,
And it was like a random person. It's like, this is crazy.
it was. I tell you why I really remember that as well, because it was when Joe Biden was being inaugurated, and it was always like who was #1 and who was #2 between our Tom for me cutting his hair and Joe Biden.
Wait, what did you say? I was really quiet.
Sorry, it was when Joe Biden was being inaugurated, and I'd cut Tom's hair, and it was trending all over the socials, and it was who was #1 and who was #2 between Tom for having his hair cut and
That's
me and
insane.
Joe
That's
Biden.
so
So Trump was like 3.
that's so
I
insane.
know. And it was also because my dad lived with us for quite a while, and he was deteriorating, but it was in kind of he's very, he's coming towards the end really now. He's but when he was living with us for a few years, well, on and off for a few years, it was when he was forgetting things and getting confused and not knowing it, and it was, it was really really sad, but there was also some hilarious bits. And I properly remember cutting Tom's hair because my dad went through a phase of not knowing who I was and slagging me off to me,
Oh,
which Tom thought was the funniest thing of all time, and like kind of encouraged him. And so it was while I was cutting Tom's hair, my dad was going, "Oh, well, Sarah cut my hair once. It was like she cut it with a knife and fork. She made a right mess of it. You should have seen it. Do you know her?" And Tom was like, "Yeah, I've met her, yeah." And then Tom was like going, "And what else? What else? What else did she do?" And he's like, "Oh, she was pulling my hair. She said she'd do it really well." And it was like, I'm like, "I'm here. I'm in the room. Do you know her? Do you know her, Sarah?" Like, yeah, I do. And I was kind of a little bit upset, but Tom thought it was the funniest thing of all time, so we just went with it.
he loves doing that.
And it was when it was during that haircut that went on to trend everywhere because I'd made a bit of a mess of it because I'm not very good. But it was, his hair was like that.
Oh, it was huge. Everyone had insane hair in lock. I think
Yeah.
it's the longest hair I've ever had was in lockdown. And
Is
then
this part of your persona that now though, with your hair and your different color hair?
no, well, it's blue now, isn't it?
Ooh!
But I have a skin condition on my scalp, and it flares up really bad when my hair grows out. And I'm just glad I suit a buzz cut, to be fair.
Yeah, it does look lovely. It looks really good. Um, so tell us about how you navigate social situations where are you good in social situations? I mean, like, I know that I'm good with a small group of people. As soon as it gets to small talk and there's loads of people, can't be asked, I want to go home, don't like it. But
Yeah.
but everybody's different.
I'm most of the time where I like meet new people is at like the events and at like the YouTubers or streamers parties. And I'm sure you remember this. It's a lot easier to talk to people when you have a drink in you. It's one if I've had a cider, I'm like, cool, I can talk whatever. But even when I haven't, I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. I do this thing when I don't know what to do. And I went on a date a few months ago and they pointed it out to me where I do it subconsciously. I slip into like my streamer voice and because I'm used to the time I talk most. I didn't even realize I had a streamer
I was
voice,
going to
but
say, what's your streamer voice?
I don't know, but they pointed it out. They went, why are you talking differently? And I go, what? And they go, yeah, you're talking differently. And I'm like, am I? And it was like 30 minutes into the date where it'd gone a bit dry. And I was like, oh my God, I've just accidentally slipped into it. Um, but it's like I've always found it easier because it's like half the people I meet are also like YouTubers, streamers, and most of them are very much, apart from like Tom and that group, they are like not the best socially because they spend all their time like locked inside and
Yeah.
don't talk to many people. So it's just like they feel the same as you. And like, if it's going dry, like take the reins of the conversation and go, what about this? What about this? And there'll always be a little bit of small talk. Is like I had a break off the internet last weekend. I went down to Bristol to see my friends at uni. And there's always a small talk. It's like, oh, what are you studying? Are you going to University of Bristol or University of West England? And then it's like, and then it just flows, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I don't know how to put it into words. I think it's you need exposure therapy to it, I guess. You need to have a million awkward conversations before you go, okay, I can talk to people.
Do you think it's about asking people about them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially with the every single YouTuber or streamer is just an attention whore at the end of the day. They're a professional attention whore. And everyone loves talking about themselves. And if you can just for the first 5 minutes pretend to give a shit, you can have a perfect conversation with anyone.
So it's about asking them stuff about themselves and getting them to talk. Tell you what's
Yeah.
irritating though, when you do that, oh, I've done
And
this
then they
loads of
cut you off.
well, possibly, but also where they don't ask you anything back at all about yourself.
Oh,
They just turn into like a 5 hour monologue about themselves, and you think, are you going to ask me anything about? I mean, are you going to ask me anything about me at all? You know,
yeah.
that's fucking irritating, isn't it? And
Oh,
you,
it's the
yeah,
worst.
and then you're thinking, I don't really want to talk to you anymore. Um, so how would you? So you're going to a place, you're going on your own, you're going to an event or whatever, you're on your own. How do you feel when you walk in the room? Or more importantly, what would you do to make yourself feel okay walking in the room, which
What's
doesn't involve having a cider?
what's like, oh, I okay, when I go by myself to an event, I need to very like knock into my brain to not go back to my usual self. Don't just look at my phone. That's what you have to do. You go, don't just look at your phone. And then you need to find someone who isn't there will always be someone in the exact same situation as you who is standing there and doesn't know what to do. And the best fucking opener ever is, do you know anyone here? And they go, no. And I go, thank fuck, neither do I. And then you go, now you've made a friend and now you have someone to talk to. And now when there's two of you, it's easier to approach another group and go, what's your name? What are you doing here? It's like it's you just need to find someone in the exact same situation as you. Because in every single place there is always someone in the exact same situation as you.
Oh, I think that's brilliant advice, Harry. I really do. And because everybody thinks that they're the only one, don't they? So
And you never
actively
are.
seeking someone else out who you suspect is feeling a little bit vulnerable, a little bit don't know anybody, a little bit how do I get involved?
Yeah,
Yeah, turning that into a team is that's I think that's brilliant advice.
it's great.
And kind of uniting over your almost over your awkwardness.
Yeah. Yeah, because literally my opening line is I go, what's your name? Oh, I'm Harry. Do you know anyone here? And they go, no. I go, thank fuck, neither do I. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and then you talk about that, and then you go, depending on what it is, talk about that, and then you go, do you want to meet some people? Because I've been to like classes and stuff and like filmmaking stuff up in Camden. Then afterwards they always host a networking event. And it's always like the most awkward shit ever at
Yeah.
first. And then you just go, there's always someone standing there and you go, oh, what do you think of it? And I went, yeah, good. And then I met one person who's lovely. They're a singer, but they're also a sound engineer at XOYO, which is like a place up in Camden, and it's really nice because now I get to skip the queue whenever I go there. It's like, it was probably the best person I've ever met.
um Yeah, because also when you're doing that, you're kind of showing your vulnerability as well, aren't you? You're showing that you're a little bit vulnerable, which I think making yourself vulnerable to other people automatically kind of invites them in.
Yeah, yeah, no, you have to do that. Otherwise, you can't just. If you want to meet new people, the last thing you want to do is lock yourself away and stand in the corner on your phone. At least, like, even if you don't want to approach new people, make yourself look approachable. Don't like look up, like kind of walk around a bit. Someone will grab you and go, "Hey, what's your name?" Like, even if your anxiety is that bad, there's no way the other person's is that bad, and they will eventually come up to you and they will approach you. The best piece of advice is to go and approach the other person who looks just like you and looks like they have no clue what's going on. But if it's that bad, don't do the hood up, cap on, headphones on, looking at your phone, because you do not look approachable at all.
And do you think that might make other people think that it's not that that person's vulnerable or that person's anxious, it's that they're not interested?
Yeah, no, that is what it looks like. Because most of the time it is anxiety. Most of the time it's
Yeah.
they struggle talking to people, but to everyone else, they don't know you. You can only judge someone on their actions, not their intentions. And your actions make you look not interested.
So these are ways to kind of, because I find it super interesting that you kind of constructed a more authentic person. You know, you became your more authentic selves when you were away from the noise. You
Mm.
know, of personas that other people were putting on you. So what advice would you give to people who are in that situation, who just think, I'm this person in this social group because that's what they've imposed on me, it's not because who I am? How would somebody go about kind of thinking about who they really are and who they want to be, and moving towards it? And I know that's a massive fucking question, sorry.
Um, it's a two-parter basically. First thing, if the reason why you feel like you're trapped as that person your friends are making you be, first thing you do is have the conversation with them. If they're
Yeah.
good friends, if they're good people about it, they'll understand. But if they don't understand, get new friends.
Yeah.
That's literally what I did. And it's hard. And it's hard because they're your backbone and they're your people. But if they're not good for you, they're not good for you. And they sometimes you just need to take the leap of faith and get new mates.
That's quite brutal, isn't it? I mean, it's brilliant, but
It's
it's
no,
a
yeah,
brutal thing to
it's
do
brutal,
for
but it's
yourself.
what's
But it is that knowing your worth, isn't it? And
yeah,
if people aren't treating you, behaving with you as they should be, if they're not respecting you, if they're not paying attention to you, if they're not, if they're not being open with you, and they're not kind of, yeah, basically giving you the respect that you give them, then are they really your friends? And
exactly.
would life be
And it's
better
like, and you
without
feel
them?
like they're your friends because you've known them all your life and you talk to them every day. But at the end of the day, sometimes they're pricks.
And that can be
And
just a habit rather than an
yeah,
actual
it's
friendship. It's
like
just a habit you've fallen into.
there were a lot of people I thought were my friends, right? And then I realized when I left school, I was like, you were just my friend because I saw you every day. We don't have anything in common. I have in school we had a fairly big friendship group. My two closest were my best mates, Michael and Logan, and they're the only people I've seen since. Everyone else, I'm like, I had nothing in common with you. We would only hang out inside of school because everyone else was there. And it was like we could talk about school stuff. Well, I'm not going to meet up with them a year later and go, "Oh, what did this teacher do?" Because no one cares.
So that's quite a comforting idea for people who might be at school or they might be at college and going through a similar situation. That it sometimes it might just be riding it out until it's
Yeah,
done, and knowing that these people, it's a temporary group until you find your people.
Like if okay, this is my thing, and I found this best with my brother. Um, my brother, his mates when he was in school were not the best, and he went to uni, and his like he's down in uni in Brighton, And I'm like, you might be thinking, I've left school, I don't have any mates now. The second you go to university or find a job, it's like you're with them because you're living with them, and
Yeah.
it's like if anyone's scared of going to university, especially if you're living out of home, don't be, because you will find your friends who will be your friends for the rest of your life there, and that you are like you will be there. Like, don't even worry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and also when you go to university or you go to college or whatever, you're with groups of people who just by the thing that you're studying, you're with groups of people who like the same thing.
Exactly.
Because you've got that in common, the thing that you're studying. So that's kind
Mm.
of a really good base for
And all,
and everybody's there to reinvent themselves and start again and decide who they want to be.
yeah, and exactly with the unis a very fun thing because you can do what I did over lockdown, where you're not you don't know anyone there, you're living completely new people, you're not with your parents, you can reinvent yourself. And I saw it the most when we went down to Bristol because I'm like, it was all these people who are very cool and very trendy, and then it turns out they went to like private school for 8 years, and like I'm like, oh my god, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
Well, I actually could tell by the accent. But it's like you can just
I
completely
went to
reinvent
private
yourself.
school.
Were you?
Yeah, well, I got a scholarship because my dad was a plumber and mum was hairdresser.
Oh
She
no,
plenty of
these
money.
people, it's like their
But
parents were like CEOs, and they went to
yeah,
like
everybody
boarding.
else's parents at my school were that sort of thing, and doctors and lawyers and all that kind of thing. So we
Yeah,
were, I was very much the odd one out. But I met some lovely people, and people I'm still friends with now. But I
yeah.
did understand that economic and social and cultural difference.
It's
From maybe
it's.
too young an age by being in a private, going to a private all girls school. You went to an all boys school.
I went to an all boys school. Yeah, but it wasn't even like a grammar school. It was there were a lot of schools in my area which were grammar schools. So they were like, okay, they were all like all boys at all girls grammar schools, or like there was a private one nearby, and they were like, okay, we're just gonna do it as well because everyone else is. And it was an all boys sports college, um, which was it's not the best environment, but I'm glad I went. I wouldn't be the person I was today if I didn't go because the teachers there were incredible. It was just the students that were pricks sometimes.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if this is something that you'd be happy to talk about or not, and it's absolutely fine if not. I know you're very open about your sexuality. Keep it clean. How was that in the context of coming out and that in a single sex school?
Horrible. Oh, it was so horrible.
Are
Because
you all
everyone
right
go,
talking about this, Harry? Because
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
that in
No,
real life you're very, very open about, and
I've
we've
I
had
think I've
lots of
spoken about it.
conversation.
I've spoken about it on stream before. Um, because I everyone goes, "Oh, I'm sure it was great in a boys' school." It was horrible because the environment is very uh it's a lot of straight guys, but it's very like homoerotic. Like it's like Top Gun. So it was like if we're getting changed for PE and we're like in our pants that like whip each other with towels and stuff. The second I came out, I wouldn't get whipped. No one would even touch me. They go, "Oh, he likes it. He really likes it." And I'm like, "No, I don't. Don't I didn't like being whipped beforehand. I don't like it now." It was like it was people treated me very differently. And it turned me into a person I didn't like being because I was one of the last people in the school to come out. Basically, there was probably 10 to 15 queer kids in my year.
And is
And
that how you would describe yourself, queer rather than bi or?
well, I say I say I'm bisexual because I think the flag looks cool, but um my view and my sexuality is if I find you attractive, I find you attractive. I don't care gender identity like at all,
Yeah.
basically. Um and there were about 10 to 15 other queer kids, and I saw them all come out year 8, year 9, and they got bullied relentlessly for it. And then because of that, they were all very. Well, ignoring the shirt. I'm not very. I don't like the term, but like queer presenting, right? It was only kind of where I've been doing the dyed hair recently and everything, but where I'm a big lad and I talk like proper fucking like South London. I'm like no one really expects it. So, but the only reason why I'm like this is because I saw all the other kids come out and be a lot more feminine and
Mm.
get their fucking shit ripped for it and get completely bullied. And I turn around and I go, I don't want to do this. So I forced myself to continue being masculine. And I hated myself for it. I absolutely hated myself for it. It was, and I, to this day, I wish I could feel more comfortable in more feminine clothing or dressing more feminine or doing something like that. But I still have in the back of my head the whole, oh, I'm going to get my shit ripped for it. And after, when I went into sixth form, I had so much guilt because of it, because I knew I could have stood up to all the other fucking more feminine kids being bullied, but I didn't out of fear. So when I went back into sixth form, I ran the school's media department and I worked really, really closely um, with the school's pride club and with the younger years, because I was like, and one turned around to me and was like, oh, it's really nice having like an older queer like person to look up to as a teacher. And it made me cry because I'm like, I think I
Oh,
needed that, but there never was. And I'm
yeah.
like, that was my biggest kind of one of my biggest regrets to this day is forcing myself to become the kind of big masculine, not like the other gay people, just so I didn't get bullied, basically.
But that instinct for self-preservation is, it's strong in it.
Yeah.
And, it's at a time, and because you'd seen it happen. You'd seen other
And I was
people.
like, I can't
Yeah.
do that because I was already getting my shit ripped for being fat and having a speech impediment. I'm like, I can't be feminine as well.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That would be another thing on the list to be bullied for. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
I think my biggest my the thing I feel most bad about was not proper being there and sticking up for all the other kids, because even though we weren't that close, we all had it in common
Yeah.
and everyone knew. I when I came out, it was all it was on social media and everything. um but the worst I'd ever get was people calling me the F slur down the corridor. I wasn't getting punched in the face for it. I wasn't getting like, and I wish I could go back and change the way I acted, but I think that's kind of why I took such a big part with the younger
Yeah.
queer people in the school when I entered the higher years.
Yeah. Um, we've done over an hour. Shall we see if there's any questions?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see them on the
I
thing?
can, I can.
Has anybody got any questions about? Because Harry's given us some brilliant advice about being sociable, about confidence, about making those connections with people. Um, so there's all that kind of stuff. And I love this idea that you actively kind of made how you feel match how you presented in terms of.
Yeah, I'm still quite shocked by it to this day. It's weird, and I've realized the streamer voice, which I've only just been reminded of it. It used to be a lot worse. I used to have it used to be like a lot higher. If you find old clips of me, I sound completely different, and it's only recently where I have been. I am the same person on and off stream, like the exact same. Um, like completely identical. And I'm like, because of that, I've kind of it's merged into one. There is no average Harry persona anymore.
Yeah.
It's Harry Benstead.
I know we've laughed about stuff where, there's no cameras, there's no nothing like that, and we're just hanging about at Tom's, and when I've been there, and we've had such a laugh about, and all them, they're all the same. That little group that you're part of, that just really enjoy entertaining each other and making each
Yeah.
other laugh, and it's so wonderful to be around. There's quite a few questions coming up. Do you have any advice about how to feel happy? This is from Becky. Hiya, Becky. Do you have any advice on how to feel happier within yourself and healing, even after being bullied? So, how did you heal from that?
It's an important, okay. The healing thing, I'll be honest, it takes a long time. There are still a couple days a month where when I shower, I have to turn the lights off because I don't want to look at myself in the mirror because of how bad like it's bad. It's very, very bad. And it does take time. But when everyone always goes, oh, they're bullying you because they're not happy with their situation at home. They're not blah, blah, blah. And you never believe it until I had a moment where I realized that, where I was walking home. It was about 2 a.m. I was walking home from the gym. Um, I had a homeless woman approach me. Can you pay for my ticket for the bus? I go, yeah. The bus isn't for 5 minutes. I sit and talk to her. She goes, where are you from? I said, I went to this school. She goes, oh my God, my son went to this school. I went, what's his name? And it was the name of the kid which used to bully me. And she's like, I haven't seen him in 5 years. They've cut off contact. She was homeless, like properly addicted to heroin, needed money to get on the bus. And I'm like, wow. And everyone who bullies you genuinely is like, I don't know if it's out of jealousy. I don't know if it's out of what. But I'm like, that moment where I was like, whenever everyone says they have shit going on at home, that's why they're doing it. And you never believed it. And then I saw it happen. I was like, wow, it actually is. It's like bullying comes from like insecurity. It comes from they have a shit living situation, and at home they're the loser. At school, they want to be the winner. You just need to remember that and go, at the end of the day, you're doing better than them. And I'm like, it might not feel like it. I don't think doing better than them is the right term to use then, but it's like they have their own problems and they're
Yeah,
putting it out on you. It's not it's not a quote unquote personal attack. They're going for the weakest target, I guess.
and you're almost collateral damage in their
Your collateral damage
struggle
to
with
their
their
own
own self
personal
esteem.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Oh, that's interesting. Um. How? Oh, cookie. How did you know that you were discovering the real you and not just creating another personality to fit in? I can
Ugh.
I just pipe up with this as well. I think we all have a whole wardrobe of personalities, even if we don't actively identify
Mean
them.
to.
That
Yeah.
your one way, like the way that we're talking now, is slightly different to how we would talk if we didn't have cameras on.
Yeah.
Um, and that'd be a slight change in our personalities. The way that I am with when I was teaching with groups of students is different to how I would be at home. The way that I am with friends I've known for a really long time is different to how I would be with brand new people. Um, and I think we all adapt ourselves to the situation that we're in, to
It's
and find
subconsciously, but
find
you
that
do. Yeah.
element of ourselves. Um, yeah, the so that's what I think about it. What do you think about whether
I
this
think
this is actually an authentic one or not?
I think it is because I think I'm happier. I think I've always been this person, but I'm like, it was everyone telling me I wasn't, I guess. And I think it helps having people on the internet going, Harry, you're really funny. I go, oh my God, I might be. I might actually be. And I'm like, the average Harry, I isn't a persona. I have stuff which happens. Like I've mentioned it. I've been having really bad like panic attacks recently, like 2 to 3 a day, basically.
Have you, babes? I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, and it's like, but this is me, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. I will never be 100% the person I am on stream that I am in person, but it's best to kind of be as much as you can.
And do you have strategies for your panic attacks?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about it. It started when I was getting doxxed for the first time. It was just my phone number got leaked.
Right.
Um and it was just like, to this day, like every time I get a no caller ID, I'm like, fuck. And it's only where I've just had stuff pipe up again recently. It's kind of set me off, but I'm like, I have my ways. I handle it. It comes in waves, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one of the standard ones, which I'm sure you know, is the uh, senses. So if you're in the middle of it, actively going three things I can smell, three things I can see, and naming them in your head, three things I
Yeah.
can hear, three things I can touch. And actively naming those things to kind of bring you back to the moment and kind of help the
Ground
anxiety,
yourself.
yeah, and help that kind of anxiety disperse a little bit. Just kind of bringing yourself back to being in the room. Oh, this is a good one. Amy. Oh, sorry, missed it. Any advice on getting over social anxiety in making friends? Um, Amy's going to college this year and is worried about being all super orcs. Ah, I'm
Um,
always super orcs. Don't care.
I was gonna say, if you're going to college this year, everyone is in the exact same situation.
Yeah,
You know when I said the thing where it's like, oh, if you go into a fucking event, find the one person that's like you. Everyone is like you. Every single person. Go up to someone you think looks cool and go, oh, I like your shirt. And they go, oh, thanks. And then you talk, and then bang, you've made a mate already. It sounds easier on paper, but I promise you, in person, it's even easier.
and also everybody thinks that they're the only person experiencing that because everybody's the star of their own movie, which they should
Yeah.
be.
And no one wants to
Eh,
talk about it.
Yeah,
No one wants to say it unless it's like borderline anonymously in a Twitch chat because it's vulnerability and no one likes showing
yeah,
vulnerability.
yeah. Uh, um, Sienna says, I've recently moved schools and I'm bisexual and really struggling with friendships and being quite targeted with rudeness. Do you have any idea of how to deal with those sort of anxieties? If it's to do with like sexuality and stuff.
Um Find there will be you are not the only other queer person in that school. That's what's important to remember. Um, and go and talk to them because they'll be going through the same shit you are. And I don't know, I kind of, by the time I came out, I had my group kind of already. But then when I did come out, I became friends with all the other queer lot. And it's yeah, they just kind of gravitate to each other, I guess. I don't know. It's I'm probably not the best for advice on that, going off me talking about how I kind of forced myself to become a person I wasn't when I came out. But I think there will always be a group of queer kids, and they will always be the most acceptable people to you in that school. But don't get involved. This is my piece of advice. This happens in every school, every single queer group. It always gets a little bit incestuous and they all get with each other. And it's like borderline incest. Don't get involved with that. It never ends well. It never ends well. Stay clear from that.
One of our Tom's strategies when he was at school, which he always, especially when he went to secondary school, for in case anybody was to, if he was to get bullied, and he was a little bit, but not really, not
Yeah.
no more than anyone else. And looking back, it's a proper like talk show host type situation. If anybody was gonna, if the first off, his thing was, because I used to say to him, just keep your head down. Don't be one of the coolest. Hang about with the nerds, hang about with everybody, and just keep your head down because it can be an absolute jungle. Which he did, but he also, if it got to the point where somebody was going to might batter him, he'd go, Well, you know, you could beat me up, but would it be worth it? You're twice as big as me. Obviously, I'm not going to hit you back. So would it really be worth it? What would you get out of it? You know, what would the win be here beating up somebody who's like me? You know, me, little skinny me. What would you get out of that? And he could always talk himself out of getting
I
battered.
well, I did that once where I was walking back from the gym. I had three men pull up to me on mopeds, like about to rob me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had about 20 seconds to come up with this because I was the only one in this road, and I had three mopeds at the bottom of the
Oh,
road. And they
scary.
they come up to me, they go, "Where are you from?" And I was just like, I just pretended I didn't speak English.
Uh,
I don't even know what language I was doing. I think I made one up, and they were like, they just like got pissed off and drove off. And I was like, it was great.
so you were too irritating to be mugged.
I just pissed them off, and they're like, all right, we're not robbing this kid.
Oh, let's have a look.
I think
Oh, Ollie, there's a good one. Do you think meeting people online is a better way at making friends than that have your humour and you can actually bond with? So really, is it easier to make friends online than it is in person?
it's a lot easier to make friends online, like so much easier. But your in-person friendships will be so much more beneficial to you, I guess. I think which is nice how I have people like Max and Tom and Freddie and Toby and Jack, where I'm like, we met online, we all do online shit, and they're a 40-minute train away, and I can go and hang out with them, and it's really it's nice, but it's a lot easier to make friends online, like a lot. Um,
Two of my bestest friends in the world, Sarah Ledger, my middle-aged last partner in crime, and Judith. Have you met Judith?
Dame Judy Dench.
No, not Dame Judy Dench. No,
Oh, sorry,
my friend Judith Gefken.
I don't
Um,
think I have.
yeah, well, because she was saying about your blue hair, because she has blue hair as well, and she was gonna come on.
Oh,
Yeah, she was saying how lovely it is. Um,
we just got a raid by Max, by the way. Max, thank you for the raid. Love
I
you.
don't really understand what that means.
If you check the chat, it's going very fast. He sent all of his viewers here.
Oh, thank you, Max. Hello, lovely new viewers. Um, what were I on about? Yeah, I met both of them online.
Really?
Yeah, both of them, and you know, ages and ages ago. But they're both like online friends who became like massive in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have like that. I think my answer was a bit hypocritical because most of my best mates I met online. It's best, like your best online friends will be ones who you can hop on a train and go and see and actually form an in-person connection with.
Yeah, yeah. Can you see any other questions on there that look like ones that you'd like to
That the
answer?
chat's gone, guys. If you put a question, can you say it again? We're doing a Q&A. Um,
Oh, it's going. I can't keep up with this. Can you keep up with this?
yeah, I see a lot.
But because I'm 400 years old, as I've been pointed out all frigging week, I have my phone has like massive
Do
writing
you
on it
have the
because I
big
can't see.
text?
Oh, massive! Somebody was just taking the mick out of me the other day, and I was like, "And I'm old. I want to see." Do you know what I mean? I'd never said I was 17.
Exactly. You tell them. I'll find one. Crip said, "Do you find it hard to switch between silly Harry and serious Harry?" Um,
I don't think you do. No, from conversations we've had, big long conversations,
well,
at
yeah, no,
Tom's.
I don't really. I'd find it harder if when I was silly, I was a completely different person. But like, I'm not. The thing I struggle with being serious sometimes because comedy has always been my coping method with everything.
Yeah,
Like everything. And I'm like, if I have shit going on in my life, the best thing I can do about it is crack a joke. But then people go, oh, it's not serious. He's joking about it. I'm like, no, it is. That's just like how I deal
yeah.
with shit. And I'm like, that's the big thing I struggle with is like the crossover. I don't struggle switching between them, but it's more like not joking, I guess.
I think I really like the idea of that people can be loads of different things all wrapped up in one, and and I've talked about this before that I love really fucking trivial telly. I love me Real Housewives. I can't watch any of the reality shows. And what I said that to somebody recently, and they were like, "Oh, you snob." I was like, "No! If I watch one episode, that's it. I'm in, absolutely deep in, and I have to watch all of it. So I can't watch like 10 minutes of I'm a Celebrity. Or I've never watched Love Island because I know I'll be 100% in there.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
my
also,
thing. I've never watched Love Island because I'm like, I remember one time I watched. There's this really it was dreadful. It's reality TV show on Amazon, and we watched one episode on stream, and then I streamed for about 6 hours watching the entire series of it. And then in my next stream, I got one of the people from it on and interviewed them. And like he like lives in West London. He's like, yeah, mate, come to my shisha bar. Come to my shisha bar. And I was like, I was 17 at the time, so I couldn't.
yeah. I mean, I love that. From my perspective, that I'm really into absolute trivial camp shit, and at
Yeah.
the and oh, RuPaul's Drag Race, I just love it. I love it
I
there.
could never get into RuPaul's.
Oh, I just love it.
But I think
I think the British one's the best because it's so like homemade. But I'm also into Shakespeare, and I'm also interested in opera, and I'm also interested in, I love
yeah.
going to the theatre and seeing Chekhov and all that kind of shit. And you can be all of those things. It doesn't have to be, I'm a trivial person, I'm a serious person, I'm an academic person, I like silly things, I like
Yeah.
parties, I like being at home. You can be all of those things, and that's totally fine.
I think it's because of the rise of the internet and social media, you kind of get jammed into one box of, oh, that's Harry the funny guy, oh, that's Harry the guy who makes jokes. And I'm like, okay, I do other stuff, and I like things, and I like serious things. And
Because you're
yeah,
very
like they do.
serious about films, aren't you? And filmmaking. You know lots
Yeah,
and lots and
yeah.
lots about that, and it's
That's how
very.
me and Tom kind of first got really close. We would talk about films. I remember he turned around to me. This was you talking about how he loves to dish it out but can't take it. He'd always turn around to me and go, "Oh, it's really nice just having someone I can talk to films about." And then about like the seventh time he told me, I said it back to him, and he went, "You taking the piss?" And I went, "Yeah, just a bit." And he goes, "Oh, I was being nice." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, it was a joke.
Yeah, and I love that that he just can't take it, and everybody
Yeah,
knows he can't take it. He can give it, but he can't take it, and everybody knows that. And his friends are like, "Oh God,"
yeah, no,
he'll just go
yeah.
and sulk.
Me and Tom went to. I took him with me to London Film Festival this year.
Yeah, was that when you saw Scorsese?
Yeah, that was the first time I ever spoke to you. It was about 2 days after my first Average Harry show dropped,
Yeah.
and Tom called Ian, and you were there, and she was like, "You're right, Harry. I loved your video,"
Was
and I
that
was
Jack
like,
Manifold one?
"Yeah."
It's very, very funny. Very funny.
And that was the first time we ever spoke. It was like October.
Mind you, you fall in it's one of my favourites of all time things. I was crying laughing when you did that assault course thing, and it's not on purpose, but the fall is just like something from the Muppets because
Oh, because I completely flail.
you fly out of camera and your arms are going forward, and it's such a surprise. And Tom
Yeah,
showed me it as soon as it had happened, so it was like without it was like, you got to see this, Mum,
without the editing.
without the editing, without any of the music, and it properly. I watched it about 20 times, and there was tears rolling down my face because it's such a surprise to you as well that it happens.
Oh yeah, it was because my foot got stuck.
I know, it's so funny.
Because I was halfway through saying my thing because I span down it. I was gonna go, that was my spin move, and then halfway through saying it, I just completely fucking
Oh,
flopped.
it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Should we have one more question?
Yeah.
Um, do you want to have a peep? If there's
Um,
anything that
guys, repeat the questions. I don't want to scroll back up. Um, da-da-da. What do we got?
I saw one that's come up quite a bit about how you meet people. How where do you go to meet people?
Well, that's the very annoying thing about kind of after it's so you have it's a thing called a third space. So you have like your home, which is the first space. You have your work or your school, which is the second space. And then if we went back 20 years ago, there were loads of third spaces. You had went to meet people. You had like youth clubs. You had parks, which are now just getting knocked down and turned into flats. You had like all these big events, and there isn't. There's a big lack in third spaces, especially with like nowadays there aren't many places. Like half of the people I meet, um, I've met some very nice people going to see Tom's stand-up gigs. Um, I met a very nice man, but I'm like, I it's hard, and I think it's off with after like fucking 10 years of Tory rule. It's like all the nice places to meet people are just getting fucking shut down, and it's even worse in America. Like you can't get anywhere without driving, um,
Yeah.
and it is really hard.
I would maybe
School,
think something, if there's something that you're really into, and it might be a joining online thing that then moving into real life, but if there's something like you've talked about going to events where you know
yeah.
there's people who like similar things to you.
No,
you
like, oh yeah, like go to if there's something you enjoy and there's a fandom or something of it, they are will host an event. And if it's not an official event, all the people in your city that like that shit will make do a meetup. And I'm like, it's cringe. The best way to find it is through places like Facebook. There will be, if you live in like fucking Sheffield, there will be a Sheffield Doctor Who fan club. And every other month, they will do a meetup. And like, you will meet people there. And I'm like, even like TwitchCon can be hard to get to for a lot of people. They've got the one in America, they've got one in Europe. They do Twitch meetups like in London, and it's like sponsored by Twitch, like an official thing, just for stuff you like. Even if you want to meet other streamers, if you're a streamer, and like go to events and just get out there, I guess. But if apart from that, if you're young, the best place is school. It is, and it's annoying because school can seem like hell to a lot of people. But there are some very nice people there. I promise you. And concerts. Oh yeah, concerts is huge. If you like an artist, go to their concerts, and you will find on Twitter a bunch of people going to their concerts. Like there's an artist who I'm not too keen on. He's called Youngblood, and he's hosting like a festival this summer. And he has like a tent at the festival I've seen. It's like a friend making tent where a bunch of people are going by themselves, and you'll fucking go there and you can meet people. And I'm like, I'm not too keen on his music, but that's sick.
Yeah, it is. That's lovely, isn't it? That's really
Yeah,
lovely. Um, well, Average Harry, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you, and I think you've given loads of amazing advice.
I
And
hope so.
I've learned loads about you that I didn't know, so that's brilliant. And you've learned how thrilled I've been over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had a great time on the internet.
Yeah, well, I've had a lovely time this evening on the internet. Thank you.
Oh,
And
I've had a blast.
thanks so much. And thank you to everybody who's watched and our lovely mods, because I should imagine you've had your work cut out this evening. And I love you and I appreciate you. And thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye, babes.